I think, Chief, obviously, thanks for joining me. I think first thing I just want to ask you, first month on the job here now as Chief, you were assistant for a couple of years. How is your first month now as Chief of the Perry Police Department going?
It's gone pretty well. I'm pretty excited about things, trying to implement some new things here at the department to kind of like refresh and get people recharged and going in the right direction. It's been busy. I put in way more hours than I did before. I'm supposed to work 7 to 3, and yeah, I'm usually leaving here like at 4:30, 5 o'clock. A lot more meetings to go to, obviously being the chief than with the assistant chief position. So that's probably been one of the bigger things, just the amount of time and meetings that we have to attend.
Like I already asked you too, Chief, just when you were assistant chief, now as the chief role, are the responsibilities of being in this new role, is it more than you expected? Is more responsibility, more stress that comes with this role now?
I wouldn't say, there's more responsibility. It's a lot more administration stuff. Before I was doing some patrol activity, plus I was kind of in charge of reviewing all of our reports, incident reports that go to the county attorney's office, reviewing all the accident reports, handling the scheduling, all that kind of more operations type stuff, where in the administration role as a chief, I'm doing a lot more of the policies and making sure people are getting their trainings done and, working out budgets and that kind of thing. So a lot more administration than I was doing before.
I want to ask you, you've been you told me the department since the year 2000, February 2000, right?
February 2000 I started here, yeah.
How has the job of a police officer, in your eyes, changed since then to now in 2024?
I would say probably the biggest thing that has changed is the court system. Back when I started, way back in 1994, the courts, you could come in as long as you came in and you held your hand up and said you were, you swore to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. What you said was pretty much what happened. And then, of course, in that time, 1994 was the era of video cameras. So I was the first officer in Shelby County when I worked in Harlan to have a video camera in his car. So pretty much most of my career has been on video, which has been a good thing. I think it's probably helped more officers than it's hurt by far. But now, come 30 years since then, we have body cameras now, and if something's not recorded, then that's looked upon as you're trying to cover something up. So the courts, you can't just come in and testify and expect the judges and juries to just take whatever you say as what actually happened. So that's probably been the biggest challenging thing, because obviously cameras are great, but they're electrical equipment and sometimes they fail. So oftentimes, and it never fails, it's when you're doing one of those things when you get involved in a pursuit, or you go hands-on with somebody and all of a sudden your camera gets knocked off or it malfunctions, and now it looks bad because it's like we're trying to cover something up and it's like, man, I'm just trying to do my job and for whatever reason this thing didn't work. So that's probably the biggest thing. And then of course a lot of court decisions have kind of made the job more difficult. We used to do a lot of drug interdiction, but the way the court rulings have come out in the last probably 5 years, it's been extremely difficult to do drug interdiction nowadays, because the courts have kind of leaned more toward what is the purpose of your stop. You handle that portion of it, and if you have nothing else to really extend that stop, then you have to let somebody go. So that's been a challenge for officers, because officers like to be proactive. They like to find things, but the courts have really made it difficult. Now, some of that comes from, just officers pushing the edge and getting bad case law out there, which is understandable, but it's become really difficult to be proactive in today's law enforcement age.
Okay.
That's probably been the biggest thing that's changed.
Yeah, I got you. I want to talk a little just about the swatting calls, because it feels like they're constant in this day and age. How do you guys deal with it as a police department with constant swatting calls?
Yeah, that's kind of scary, because we have to take every call as it being a real call, even if we suspect that it might not be. But you still have to respond appropriately. And when you're going to a call, and a lot of those squatting calls are people making it sound very like a real serious crime. So you have to approach it from that standpoint. So I guess you just have to take those instances and handle them like you would handle any normal call. But you have to be that much more cautious approaching those situations because it may not be what was portrayed to us.
I want to talk to you. You talked a little bit about, like I talked with you on the phone earlier this week, last week, about mock trainings for any type of severe event, whether it be for a swatting call or for a school shooting. What do those mock trainings look like for your guys' department? How often are you practicing these things as a department?
So, scenario-based training has been around for a while, and in the law enforcement world, probably the last 10 years or more, we've been doing a lot more scenario-based training because basically you're going to train to what the situation is. So by acting, when you're doing training and you want to be good at your job, then you take that training to the next level, which doing scenario-based training is the best way to do that because it kind of puts you in that mindset. And we do the same thing with the schools and other businesses and that sort of thing that are looking to better themselves in those situations. So we definitely do scenario-based training with our schools, with our teachers, students, and even the business community at large. We've kind of extended that beyond the schools and are helping them out in those same things.
Why is that important?
Because it's important to get people's mindset. Because people in those situations, the biggest thing that we can say is we give people permission to act. Because if you go back, the history of mass shootings and stuff, the reason we have so many fatalities is because people just freeze and they don't know what to do. They don't really act. So they're just a sitting duck. So the new way of teaching is empowering people, saying, no, you have an active role in this. I tell people, hey, most of the trainings that I do, I say, who are the first responders? And usually people are like, well, I'm a firefighter, or I do this or that. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. Most of these incidences are going to be done in 5 minutes or less. So guess what? You guys are the first responders. And we're giving you permission to act and to take an active role in saving yourself and saving those around you. So that's probably the biggest, most important thing, is giving people not only permission, but getting that in their mindset that, hey, I can do something to save me or someone else.
And it sounds like, too, you're talking about that going to schools like you guys are doing today, too, you told me, but also going out in the community, like you said, these things can help save lives, to your point, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think there's kind of a misnomer out there about mass shootings. You would think that they're mostly school shootings, but the statistics don't prove that. The vast majority are in businesses, in the business community. That's where a lot of mass shootings happen. So we've been kind of reaching out. We've had a few companies here in Perry reach out to us wanting to kind of beef up their security and give their employees kind of some pointers and that kind of thing. So I've spoken with a couple of the companies here in town already about things that they can do to improve security, and then also to help their employees, act in those situations.
I want to continue kind of on this topic, but just talk about your guys' response on January 4th as a whole, as a department. How do you feel like your department at the time responded on that day to the school shooting?
I was extremely proud of the way our officers responded to that. I know initially the initial reports got out that we didn't get there until it was several minutes afterwards. That was not the case. I mean, we were there at the school within a minute and a half. I mean, it was quick. Our officers did not hesitate. They went straight into the school and started looking for the assailant, and that's exactly what we're trained to do. We train our officers that you go for the threat, and that's exactly what they did. They didn't hesitate. They went in, they did their jobs, and then by the time most of the other officers were showing up, the majority of it was done and over. And then it was just kind of clean up and, you know, making sure getting people out of the building that were still in and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, having that response was great from the greater community wide, and you know the surrounding agencies did a great job responding. It was a really good team effort. And then the follow-up investigation from there was a total team effort between, you know, our local agency, the sheriff's office, outer agencies, the state DCI, even the FBI. I mean, ATF. We worked really well that throughout the next few weeks, you know, investigating that and that sort of thing. So that's really great to see when that teamwork can work well like that.
You know, one of the things a couple weeks ago, I attended a press conference with Commissioner Baines from the Department of Public Safety, and he talked a little bit about, you know, when the report of the shooting came out, he talked about Officer Zagar within your guys' department. Her response to this, you know, going in there alone, not waiting for other people to show up. Talk to me a little bit about her response and that bravery and courage it took to be able to just go into that school alone.
Yeah, so we're out on school patrol every morning. So you know we have 3 different schools in our community, so we're out patrolling those areas. Yeah, so when that call came out, she headed straight there. So did our school resource officer, Josh Moore, and then Chief Vaughn was working that day as well. So I mean, as soon as that call went out, all 3 of them were like headed that way. And all got there within, you know, a minute or 2 of each other. We happened to have another officer that was stayed over from the midnight shift working on a case, and he happened to be like just a couple blocks away, so he responded as well. So we had 4 officers there within minutes, and each one of them did exactly what they were trained to do, to go into the building, assess the situation, and try to find the threat. So the first 2 that were in would have been Officer Zager, and then School Resource Officer Moore was right behind, and they kind of like met up in a hallway, and then they started going, you know, searching hallways together, which is exactly what we're trained to do, and that's kind of how the whole thing proceeded.
Do you remember that day where you were when you first heard about it, that whole situation?
Yeah, that happened to be one of my days off. So I got a phone call from one of our off-duty officers asking if there was something he could do, and he kind of informed me what was going on. It was quite chaotic. So, of course, I got ready and headed straight to town. And by the time I got there, the secondary search of the building was in process and was just starting to get finished up when I arrived.
When you got there, you talked about the secondary search. Obviously, I'm not trying to reopen any closed wounds, but what do you remember from that day?
Yeah, so when I got there, I literally had to walk probably a couple blocks to get there because they had everything else kind of closed off, which was great. I mean, we had a lot of people. We had people from the DOT, we had the street department, lots of people that were just helping out. Probably haven't ever seen that many police officers in cars
It was a lot. It was
in
a
the
lot,
area.
yeah.
So, you know, when I arrived, there was lots of officers out in the parking lot because, like I said, they had just kind of finished up sweeping both buildings, making sure we had everybody out, and then I just went in and started helping out. I got assigned with the DCI pretty quickly to be kind of the local liaison, so I could help them with the investigation. So that's pretty much was my role. The rest of the day was being with the investigative team.
Okay. What was work kind of like? What was life kind of like those first couple of days, first couple of weeks after for you? Just here in the department, but also how were you kind of feeling those first days, weeks after this happened?
Well, it was extremely busy here. Obviously, the investigation was still going on, so this place was buzzing with people for a good couple weeks, you know. So I was assisting in that role, and it was just a little overwhelming with the amount of people that wanted to help and coordinate things, and we had to, you know, coordinate funerals and those sort of things. So it was very chaotic, but we just kind of worked as a team and work through those situations, and yeah.
I want to talk, just like I said, the last couple of weeks afterward, but was there a challenge for you guys just kind of reassuring people that they could bring their kids back to school after this happened in January?
Yeah, I mean, I think we tried to reassure the community that we had trained for this and we had prepared not only with the schools, we had done ALICE training with them just that fall, went through some scenarios, some options, and spoke with we went to all three of our buildings, elementary, middle, and high school, and had spoken with all the teachers. So we felt really good about that. And then leading up to that, the year prior, we had sent all of our officers, especially the day shift officers, to additional training that to kind of bring us up to speed with the new techniques when it comes to responding to a shooter in that situation. So I think with all that combined, it certainly helped, and we were prepared for it, and everybody did exactly what we wanted them to do, from the students to the teachers to the administration, and then our officers. So from my perspective as a law enforcement leader, it went as best as it could go. Yeah, so I mean, so we can be assured that we're continuing to work with the school. One of the things that we've developed since then is we have a multidisciplinary assessment team put together, which is something that the FBI and the Secret Service came out with documents shortly after Columbine happened. And they developed these assessment teams to help really get to these individuals before this ever turns into something like that. So the thought of that is that you would try to intervene when these people are having issues, and then getting them the help they need, whether that be mental health services, whether that be through the juvenile court system, something that law enforcement can do, or just the counselors at the school. So that team's been up and running now, and it's working really well. So we're going to be meeting, on a constant basis to review any cases that we feel necessary to try to intervene with.
Okay. Switching topics, just those last couple that you saw, it's a reality that just across the country, not just here in Perry, that there are people who don't trust police departments. In your role, how can you kind of get people to switch that narrative and trust police?
So Perry's been a very diverse community ever since I've been here. Obviously we had IBP, and then Tyson bought out IBP. But ever since I've been here, Perry's been a very diverse community, people from all over the world, which can be a little challenging, not only with language, but then culture. Obviously, in a lot of parts of the world, police officers are looked at being very corrupt. So going back to my original chief, he was, when he was still the chief out at Tyson and IBP, he would actually go out there when they had new employees and just explain how things work here in America and how laws work and that sort of thing. So, and that continued under Chief Vaughn, but it's just a matter of really getting down to just being a person to those people that we're dealing with, and being reassuring that, hey, I understand where your country is, things are much different, but we're here to help you. We've always tried to portray that to our victims, encourage them to really stay with the process, because there's a lot of people that are concerned, even if they're not documented and that kind of thing. That's really not our concern, and we try to tell that up to tell those people right up front. That is not our concern. We don't enforce immigration law. We certainly assist, immigration services, but that's not our role as local law enforcement. Our role is to help people and protect people when they're being victimized. So I think just having that confidence to build trust and build relationships with them has been a big help. And our community has always supported our police department, which has been really helpful. Even when the riots were going on up in Minneapolis and that sort of thing, our community has always been very supportive of our police department. I think that comes down from the way our officers treat people, and people just know that we're going to help them out, and they can trust us.
Yeah. Does, to your point of just being genuine with people out here in Perry, does it help, being just a person, being out at community events, just having that presence there, just showing people that you're also just people and building that trust with them at those types of events, things like that?
Absolutely. That's like number one thing we can do is, show people that we really do care about our community, and that's our main focus. And building those, those community alliances and stuff is absolutely so important. You just never know, any interaction you have with somebody, that person may help you out down the road when it comes to like a crime or something that you need help on. They're going to remember how you treated them and be more helpful. So yeah, I mean, we have our local Shop with a Cop thing is coming up here soon, which we've had for, probably close to 20 years, I'm betting. We've been running our Shop with a Cop program, and we usually take anywhere between 20 and 25 kids out from our community, shopping with not only police officers, but firefighters and our EMS help out as well. So, I mean, that is one of those things that we can give back to our community. So those events are super important. So, yeah, absolutely.
As somebody who's been here since the year 2000, you've seen trends for almost anything here in the city of Perry, I'm assuming, Chief. Specifically, trends in crime, past couple of years, what are you seeing now here in Perry in more of a leadership role?
So our crime trends have gone down drastically from when I first started. Back in the early 2000s, we were like pushing there was a few years we were at 900 arrests or more. And I think last year we had like 300. So that's
a huge drop.
That's a huge drop, and most of that probably comes from a lot of our immigrant population. Some of these are going on. Some of these individuals have been here like 3 generations now. And back when I first started, we had a lot of single males that didn't have families. Didn't matter where they came from or what they did, what culture they came from. They came to America, they worked, and then they drank. And they lived together and they got into fights, so which causes lots of problems. So the biggest trend has been that a lot of that has gone away. I think some of that due to us just enforcing the law and being very proactive. If we had people that were, drug users causing lots of problems, then, we just kept arresting them, and eventually they realized that they weren't going to get away with that. So they either moved out of our community or they kind of straightened up. Now some of our trends going down is probably, we kind of went through a stage of some budget cuts, and that's in like the mid 2000s, so like 2008 and a little beyond that. So our numbers went down. We went from 15 officers all the way down to 12, and which causes some turnover and that kind of thing, and then you're getting some burnout and stuff like that. But for the most part, I think our enforcement efforts and then people just becoming family and kind of getting some roots established here has really helped our situation out here in Perry.
You've already touched on this a little bit, challenges that you guys have faced over the department, and I'll get to strengths too after this, but what are some of those challenges you guys still face as a department right now?
So I think the biggest challenge just in Perry is that we have a pretty low tax base. We're a very old community, unlike the rest of Dallas County that is, has a lot of growth going on right now, especially in the southeast part of our county. Waukee is like tripled or quadrupled from the time when I started here. And I think that's probably our biggest challenge, is that we just don't have the tax base that a lot of other communities have in our county. So obviously we're a little strapped when it comes to money. But we try to take advantage of things that we can do to make trainings and just grants and that kind of thing. The city's been really good about making sure our police department has good equipment, and has the officers that we need. So we just got this last July, we got a really significant raise, which is really going to help out when it comes to retention. When you live this close to the metro, it's really hard to keep officers here when we're paying, you can just drive down the road 30 minutes and you're making, 30 grand more. Pretty hard to keep people here. So, having that raise is really going to help us with officer retention.
Before I get to strengths, which I promised I'd ask you, you just brought up the metro, and I wanted to ask you about that too. How do you compete with cities like Des Moines in terms of recruitment?
Yeah, well, I think everybody's having a problem with recruitment. I mean, if you look back when I first got in law enforcement in the early 90s, you would show up at a train, there'd be one officer or one position open, and you would have maybe 150 to 200 people show up. And now, even the big departments are having, just a handful. I mean, the last time that we did a hiring process, we may have had like maybe 12 people apply total. And that's before you do any testing. Maybe you have like 15 people apply. And if you look at Des Moines or even the State Patrol, I mean, they're all having issues with people just not wanting to get into law enforcement anymore. It's kind of a thankless job sometimes. And especially with the way the courts have gone, and the public's view of law enforcement has definitely gone down from what it used to be. So I think that those are some challenges that we have to get over. But I think everybody is struggling with that. And then when you do get applicants, there's quite a process to go through to become a police officer. From physical agility to, aptitude tests, to psychological testing, to, being able to attend and pass the law enforcement academy. So it's a pretty rigorous process. And you're talking, about a year before you hire, from the time you hire someone until they're really useful and able to go out and perform on their own, with the amount of stuff that we have to know and train on. So it becomes a little challenging.
Do you feel like some of those challenges are out of your guys' control, or some of those things that you guys could do to help out with recruitment in the department?
Yeah, so some of the things that law enforcement agencies and even here in Perry has done, there's sign-on bonuses at a lot of agencies now. They have lateral transfers. If you're an officer somewhere else, you can come in making the kind of the same benefits that you had at your former department. Obviously, people can have tattoos showing now, beards. I mean,
is that a big thing now?
Well, it used to be. Oh, yes.
Okay.
It used to be. The way it used to be, you couldn't have anything but a mustache, and you had to cover your tattoos.
Okay.
And so it was very restrictive. So some of those things had to go by the wayside just to be able to keep and get new people to apply. So, which is a good thing. I mean, it's okay if you have facial hair. I think it's fine. And tattoos, people are way more accepting of tattoos nowadays. So, I mean, it's kind of a thing of the past. So some of those things we had to open up, and then just being creative when it comes to incentives for officers to stay and that kind of thing.
Strengths of the department.
So I think our strength is that we have a lot of people that are on our department that are either grew up here or from here or have returned back to work in their community, which really helps. Having those relationships already in the community has been a benefit, because those people know people and know people. And that just helps. I mean, if you come in from somewhere else, then you got to learn all that stuff. So that's probably one of our bigger strengths. And then just being a smaller department, we get to know people and we get to see that we're making a difference out there. I think if you lived in a big city, if you were an officer in a big city, I think it would be difficult, especially if you're talking like Chicago or one of those really huge cities, to really see that you're making a difference. Because every day you're coming to work, you're dealing with the same stuff you deal with every day. The advantage of being in a smaller community is that we can actually see some of those things, because sometimes we have people that'll come back, a year or two later and say, "Hey, thanks for arresting me. I really needed my life straightened out, and you made it. You helped me make that change." So that that's really important, and it kind of makes you feel like you're really doing something, you know, and we can kind of see it. We have some officers that are very proactive and they really want to go out and work, which makes a huge difference. Our officers are wanting to get out there and make traffic stops, make arrests, and make a difference. So I think that's the important part.